Hello.
Why is it supposed to be offline for you?
Little technical difficulties, such as the nature of live streaming.
There.
But
Yeah.
here we are, and George is ready to show you some cool stuff. So.
Alright, so
This is the premium LE back panel assembly. And you can see right now that Bond is in what we call the home position. If you look back here, what you see here is you see a gear motor right here. Can you guys see my cursor?
Yes.
All right, so you see a gear motor, and the gear motor drives this belt. And on the other end of this belt, you'll see two discs. This disc has a little window right there. And this is an opto switch like we use on many devices. And when the opto sees the little window and both sides, the receiver and the transmitter on the opto see each other, that means that Bond is in the home position. And as you, to make sure that your game is assembled right, a couple of things you need to see are there's a B engraved right here on the back of the wheel, and you'll see this little hole right here, and that little hole in the B should line up with the boom, right? So, and you can see the window moving out. You see that window right there as I rotate this.
Yes.
When the window is at the opto, that is in the home position, and you can see the disc is, when it's properly aligned, it's in line with this guy, right?
Okay.
So the other significant thing down here, and the thing that everyone needs to be aware of, is this is a little clutch. These are called Belleville washers, and they're spring steel washers. And we've used this clutch. This is a very common clutch mechanism in mechanical engineering. We use it a lot because it's a very inexpensive way to do a clutch. What does the clutch do? The clutch allows the mechanism, when you move it with your hand, or it accidentally somehow gets moved, or if for some reason the opto failed and the motor tried to drive the mechanism into something, it would allow the mechanism to survive. It wouldn't damage the gear train. It wouldn't damage anything. But what happened to a couple of these clutches is, Pat says he's had 10 calls from early LE owners where Bond didn't move. And all you have to do is take a nut driver and tighten this. And that basically puts tension on the clutch, and your Bond should run. And that's all it took to get those, the guys that had the loose clutch situation. Bond could possibly move in one direction, but not in the other. There wasn't enough friction at that point. So really simple solution. The other thing that we've seen there is that sometimes these little washers are like, I'm going to pull one out of here. I'm going to show you just the washer. Okay, so you see how the washer is cupped?
Yes.
They have to be assembled in the correct orientation. So that means that this is the correct orientation. So two sets of them look sort of like a flying saucer, like a side view of a flying saucer, if you will.
Yeah.
And the other one is opposite that. And that's the way they're supposed to be assembled. And if they're assembled, like if somebody screws up and they're all assembled in nested fashion, that's not going to work very well. So they have to be assembled in this way, and to create the amount of tension that was designed into the clutch. And that's, I mean, really, honestly, that it's a pretty simple device. Kyle, you were asking about this belt. We use this belt a lot also, and we use this motor and this gear train a lot. The back portion is a DC motor. You see the blue right there? That's a DC motor. This is the gear train. We buy this from a company called Multiplier. Been making coin-operated game motors forever. Mm-hmm. And so really, that's it. The only other things that you have to be aware of is there are little O-rings here. See that little blue section, right? That little blue highlighted area right there?
Yes, between the motor mounting bracket and the back panel.
Right. And what those are is they allow you to adjust the amount of clearance between the boom and the back panel so that they basically allow. Can you see me? Can you guys see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
All right, so what those little O-rings do is, as you tighten or loosen the O-rings, you have essentially control of how the boom and the plate relate to the back panel.
Okay.
So if for some reason you have a clearance issue or something between the boom and the back panel, that's where I would go, right? I would go there and I would either just tighten it or loosen it until it gets there. The other thing that controls is the amount of, now let's see if I can open up the whole playfield.
So really quick, George, as a question though, if some of these people may have had loose clutches from the factory, when you say tighten it up with a nut driver, is there specific torque or snug or tight
you basically you tighten it as much as you can and it should work.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's like, I could give you a torque spec, but how many people have a torque spec? Have a torque wrench to do it with. You can actually, and it's not, you're not going to tighten it a lot. You're going to put half a turn on it, if that. Half turn, quarter turn. That's all you're going to be able to compress those spring washers, and then you should be good.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, if you tighten the clutch and it's still not working, then it's something else. Then it's like, but theoretically, if it moves, in other words, if you can get it to move, but it won't move off of home, that's usually the clutch.
Got it.
There's really not much else to that thing. So, I mean, what are things that could go wrong? Well, like this, I suppose that this connector could be off or something could be wrong with this opto board, in which case it's not seeing the home switch. But the home switch is actually shows up in the menus, and it's indicated as home. And so you should be able to go into Diagnostics, put it in the test, get it to the home switch. It should see the home switch.
All right.
Speaking of the Diagnostics, we had a bug that showed an error message, and it had nothing to do with the mechanism not working or anything being wrong with the mechanism. It was literally on our end. And so the latest code release fixed that. So you shouldn't see that error message up there anymore. And then the other thing we didn't talk about here is, you see the chopper wheel right there?
Yep.
All that does is count positions, right? So as this thing rotates around, we count, and the software counts and says, okay, I'm X number of clicks out, and so I know where I am relative to the playfield. And that's how we're going to know. There's going to be a mode later on where you're going to be able to fly him around and drop the ball at important or significant optimizations in terms of scoring on the playfield.
Very cool.
And so, and that's how we know where you are relative to the playfield. Now let me open up. I'm gonna close just the back panel. I'm gonna open up the whole playfield.
All right.
And
we're all gonna cross our fingers while we do this. So internet, cross your fingers.
All right, we'll close this washer. The playfield's a big file, so it's going to take a little while to open it.
Oh no.
The one of the things in this playfield is that the largest footprint in terms of the size of the files in this playfield are the sculpts of Bond and the Diver and Jetpack Bond, and also the DB5. Those things are enormous. I think the DB5 is by itself is probably has a larger memory footprint than the entire playfield.
That's funny. High polygon files, molds.
Yeah, super. And these are now solids, and so they're substantially mathematically more intense than they were as polygonal files.
Well, so we have so it seems like the SolidWorks is stable, right? Are you still able to manipulate?
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to load. You'll know it's fully loaded when you see my feature tree open up on the left there.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Yeah, so you see you can see my cursor is
still a thinking wheel.
Yeah, it's still thinking.
It's loading a lot of parts because a lot goes onto this game.
Yeah. So this is a master playfield model for those who haven't seen this before, and it's got every nut, bolt, and screw in the game in it. And this is essentially what I work on, and what the mechanical engineering team works on when we're developing the game. We start, as you guys know, we go from sketches to mock-ups and okay. So now here we are. So this is over here. This is the feature tree, right? And you can see all how it's organized into folders, and every one of these folders has a bunch of the parts. Like this folder has all the ball guides, right? Okay. So if I click any one of these, here's a ball guide. Let's open up a ball guide. There's a ball guide, right?
Oh, cool.
Okay. You ever wonder how a ball guide is made?
Yes, I do. I'm very curious.
Right. Okay.
Oh, of course.
So it begins life.
I guess while we wait for that to load, are these master files, the SolidWorks model we're looking at, this is a collaborative model. Everyone is applying their finished drawings to this one master model, correct?
So, yeah, the master model is maintained, the final master model is maintained by the project engineer, the project mechanical engineer. The original designer model is what I work on, mm-hmm. and as I complete parts, as I complete features and areas of the playfield, then I hand them off, and then eventually, when his parts are done, I come and I update my model, and so we go back and forth. So this is essentially, this is a 9-inch long line, right? Which, when I exit the sketch, it's this feature, and this feature essentially turned it into a piece of sheet metal. And now every one of these features gets added. It begins life as a sketch, which essentially is dimensioned and controlled, and then you apply that's a cut. That's a cut extrude. You can see right there, right? So I cut that slot out of that, mm-hmm. and so every that's a cut extrude of that hole right there, right? So when I turn off that, you'll see that cut extrude. That was there, and that cut extrude is really, it's a drawing, it's a sketch with a dimension, right? It locates it off the edge of the ball guide, and off the top of the ball guide, and then its diameter is 0.13, so it's 1/8 of an inch roughly. And then once I exit the sketch and I apply the feature, and so every feature of the ball guide, like here's another cut extrude, it was basically those pieces. So that's how every part is made, one little piece at a time. Mm-hmm. And so what I do is I work in this program. I get my, there's a tapped hole, right? Here's a fillet. So I get this to there. We added a stud there. Now we're going to add we add the rivet. So this is essentially every single part in the game is created this way. And
then with the power of SolidWorks, you can take that ball guide and then create a manufacturer's drawing to send off to a manufacturer to make that part.
Right. So let's look at that again. I don't remember what ball guide that was. I think was it this one? Well, here, we'll just look at this one. Here's a tiny little one. Oh, no, there it is. Okay.
There it is.
All right. So this guy right here. So here's one of the really cool things that this can do. That's a flat pattern of the part. Mm-hmm. That's what, this is essentially what the laser is going to cut out when the sheet metal is still in the flat. And then from this, every feature is going to be formed, right? So, and this has an associated drawing, which is essentially also generated out of SolidWorks. And the really cool thing about SolidWorks is it's parametric. So that means that once I change this part, those changes propagate everywhere this part shows. So, which means that when one of us makes a change to the part, anyone who grabs that part has all those changes. So there's no like, somebody's got to update. Updating just means he's got to open the part in his model and install it, or make sure that he's got the latest version of it.
Nice.
Huh. Look at that. Did anyone think that they were going to get a SolidWorks tutorial from George Gomez today? Well, now we did.
It's amazing.
That's really fascinating. Whenever I reach out to technical services for like hey, can you give me this part number for this screw on this assembly? Right. And then so Eddie will send me a picture of the model. It always makes me salivate a little bit.
Here's here's a lot of the details, and everything on here has a purpose, right? Like, you see this piece of steel, and everybody's wondering, why is the piece of steel there? And some of the early games didn't have that piece of steel. That's because somewhere along the line, I found that we had a ball trap. I'm going to show you something. Let's see. So all the pinballs are turned off. So I'm going to turn all the pinballs on. I don't know if we have one up there, but there was a ball. We saw, like, you would never imagine it, right? Balls end up in all kinds of weird places. There's the balls are turned on, right? There's actually a ball trap. If I take this,
cool.
So there's a ball trap.
Oh, on the fluorescent piece of plastic there? I think I can envision it.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to make this for you, but make that and that.
I'm assuming the answer is going to be yes, but
so what happened is that there was a ball trap here. So by putting that piece of steel there, we allow the ball to basically roll off. So that ball trap was was jammed between the plastic, like, because the plastic had, like, for example, this cut, so the ball could sit at that cut.
I see. Watching you work through this, I'm going to assume that once you learned everyone has learned the most updated versions of SolidWorks. I mean, this is just infinitely more powerful than anything you've ever designed with. This has made the design process so much easier, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that you can see so much more than you can in 2D. So things like, everything gets looked at, right? Here's the underwater dudes, right? And, there they are. And you can even see the wire ties that hold them.
Yeah.
To orient them, right? And yeah, you see how his fin is running into this bracket. That really doesn't happen but it's not significant to the model. But this piece of spring wire that supports them, when this is in the playfield, that droops. And so that thing, that allows them to bounce in there, right? Mm-hmm. So, it's a similar trick to what I did in Monster Bash with the creature, right? Which is, so what I wanted to do is I just, we haven't finished all the stuff that we're going to do with that, but what eventually we will do is more interesting light shows and more things related to that particular feature. It's just a kind of a looks cool thing, I wanted this. This is the Hell House scoop from Deadpool, and I wanted it to shoot up playfield. We had several different iterations of this. At one point, I was trying to get this to shoot up the ramp.
Huh.
And it wasn't consistent enough. And we also had it, sometimes you'll get, it'll hit the target on the tank and help you. Sometimes it actually goes into the pop bumpers. And sometimes you'll actually also see it go up here and dribble back. The other thing is everybody's asked about this black foam pad. Whatever you do, don't take it away. So this black foam pad what it does is it keeps the ball out of this area. And for a long time, I tried lots of different designs here. I had a design where the floor was dropped, similar to what I did on Lord of the Rings. And the ball was in there all the time. And Mike was in my face every day. The ball goes in there like a billion times. You got to change this. And so we tried lots of different things. It turns out that this foam is it's the same stuff we use behind the stand-up targets, so it's pretty durable. And we actually I think we threw an extra one in the cash box just in case, but it's fine. We've tested it a lot. You're not going to make issues with it. But all it does is it makes that area live enough that you come in and out of there. And
it was like night and day when George gave me that for my play field, and I'm like, oh, thank you, because it just lived over there before that,
Yeah, it was horrible. It was, it was really bad.
You'd think that foam would help dampen the ball and force it to maybe fall into the scoop more, but it absolutely has the opposite effect. Yeah.
It's pretty lively. It's pretty lively. Yeah. The other issue we've had is, and you'll see this on later versions, there's a crimp here that this model doesn't show. Mm-hmm. So we crimped this and we added a washer so that it can't come out of there. And some of the early ones, it's not impossible to fix an early one if you have it. All you have to do is basically add a little bit more bend to this 90-degree form right here with a pair of needle nose, and you should be okay. Yeah.
So make the two 90-degree corners, you'll bring one in a little bit more acute to hold the spinner. Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like another thing that you haven't seen yet, we're going to make a kit available. This is a really weird one. You see this? You see the highlighted piece of blue plastic there? We actually had a ball trap. We had a ball trap. The ball sitting above this wire form, believe it or not.
Oh wow!
Now you can knock it out with another shot. If you wait for us to feed you another ball, you can knock it out of there. But we decided we need to fix it. So we're going to make a kit that's available. Just call part service and get it if you want it. It's not a very common thing, but since we've seen it, we've fixed it.
Okay, so someone in the chat did ask that. What will you do to address ball traps on early games post-sale? You would just contact the technical services team?
Yeah, there's a kit the kit comes with this one. It comes with this one. You probably don't have this one on your game. You see this little post right here on a piece of plastic? Yep. There's a ball trap right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have that.
There's a piece of foam right here. You see that? The ball is getting jammed between the ramp and this piece of steel.
Oh yeah, I have that on this one here. It's incredible where the pinballs will go.
Absolutely. And then the other thing you need to do is a bunch of games got out with this cable clamp rotated, so it's hanging out here. Just loosen that screw and rotate the cable clamp 180 degrees, so it's like it shows here in the model, and the cables will run right along, right along the switch and up into the right to the solder points on the switch.
Yeah.
And that fixes a ball trap. But that's in the instructions for this kit with the plastic. So I mean, you know what?
Who did they contact to get that kit?
Just call tech support, and just tell them, hey, I want the Bond ball trap kit. You're gonna get two the two pieces of plastic with the post, and you're gonna get the foam pad, and you're gonna get some instructions, So other features on the premium that are not on the pro, the gantry, of course, and the physical 3-ball lock with this cool ramp that goes around bird 1, and then of course the lock, the physical lock is this this diverter opens, and when the diverter opens, let's see if this diverter is like up here. Is that it? Yeah. It's flexible. It's concentric, yeah. So you see that blue flag opens to let the ball in here. Otherwise the ball comes around this outside orbit. What other issues that I saw? This red piece is actually a black decal on your game, and there is a situation where if somebody installed the decal poorly, you can have a buckle in the decal here. And if the decal is buckled here, when the ball comes around that orbit, it hits the bulge in the decal, and it gets killed by the opposite wall. And my good friends at AC Goji in LA, Shane had the problem, and I saw it there, and then went back and saw a couple more here on the line, and finally started. And then I got with them and I said, hey, we got to start paying attention to this. And so they made sure that everything that, they went through everything and caught them all. But I'm sure some got out with the bulge in the decal. So if you're having an issue going up the ramp, this is the first thing I would look at, because there's really nothing else to this ramp. Let's see. So you have a lock here for where Bond picks up the ball. Mm-hmm. And you have a couple of optos here. So Bond comes back, picks up the ball, and then moves it out. Right now, all he's doing is taking it out and hanging out here, and then you make that center shot. And there's a timer that is started for hurry up. So when you hit that center shot, he drops the ball for a 2-ball multi-ball. But we're going to do a lot more stuff with that. Mike can talk about some of that.
We had a question in the chat too about the jetpack. Mike in the chat said, Mark, sorry, the jetpack doesn't leave the home position when a game starts, and his feet end up blocking the ball. Is there? Yeah, that's the clutch issue. Tell him to tighten this right here.
Yeah. So if Mark wants once the stream is over, to watch the archived version, George talks about that right at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can actually link to it.
Yeah. So this guy right here, you're just going to tighten that, and you're not going to have to put much force on it. It's maybe half a turn, half turn, and that's going to tighten the clutch, and it'll start working.
That's amazing. These models are fantastic.
Yeah. So let's see. So we talked about ball traps. We've talked about the different features that are on the premium. The Dr. No's Dragon tank, right, with the target here. That's going to play a role once we get a little bit further on with the. And then if you didn't hear it, we're going to do a code release next week that's going to give you mode stacking and the Dr. No mode. And the mode stacking is going to make a big difference to how the game feels currently. There's also some other minor rules polish things, but we're going to try to do code releases every couple of weeks to get you far enough along. Let's see, what else do we have? I don't know. What else you guys want to see? what else you guys want me to talk about?
I'll be honest. I could watch it all day, George. So with the so then remind me then on the Pro. So you've got an up post to stage the ball for the magnet on the jetpack.
That's back here.
Oh yeah, in the back on the top right.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not on the Pro.
But that's not on the Pro.
No.
So.
Correct.
So you got that. Of course, you've got the jetpack guy. You've got the Dragon tank. You've got this entire massive assembly, right? The gantry, the ramp, the the physical 3-ball lock. Mm-hmm. You got the diverter. You have the underwater guys, which are basically just art on the Pro. You do have on the Pros. You do have this post, the lock post. That is designed to stage modes to allow us to do presentations with modes, and later on, it's going to play a bigger role. Also, ever wonder how a wireform ramp is made?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Whoa.
Wow.
So
It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
look at see all these features on the left here?
Yes.
That's how that ramp is made, and that ramp begins life as a top view sketch. Well, here, let's turn everything off.
Just so you guys know, I've been at Stern for 6 years, and today was the day I learned how we made ball guides and wireforms. I never knew how we did it. It was just this magic that happened when I wasn't there.
It really is magic. Even if you know how it works, it is always magic.
Have you ever made
Right,
like a
so
wire
there's-
ramp that was super crazy? Then when you made the actual physical part outside of the computer, it just didn't work.
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. What people don't understand is that doing this in the computer doesn't guarantee that anything's going to work.
Right.
Doing it in the computer is part of the process that allows us to be consistent and precise. But the reality is that we go through a lot of iterations to get where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically, if you took the playfield, if I had the playfield up and I managed to turn everything off, this was the path that I laid out for the ramp, right? And then we had to start adding features to it. So everything in SolidWorks requires that, we, I'm going to show you. So see those four, when I dig into this sketch, that sketch is our standard orientation for the two wires that the ball rolls on and the two guard wires.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything begins that way. And as we create features, you get all the way down to here. And now see this feature called a sweep? That's what that is. And it's essentially using the guide path of the top view, and it's using that sketch that reflects the orientation of these wires to essentially sweep the part. And so every feature as I walk down the tree, every one of these things has to do with how we made something. Eventually, let's see here, look. See that? That's that revolve right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that revolve began life with another sketch on a plane. So,
Wow.
is it? Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So,
right?
So when you were working at Williams in the 90s, I mean, did you just have armies of draftsmen working in CAD, or were you the army of draftsmen working on these things too?
No, it wasn't a lot different. I mean, except that we were working we were working in two dimensions. We did, towards the end of my time at Williams, we were beginning to adopt 3D CAD.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if you ever look at a Revenge from Mars vacuum form ramp,
Mm-hmm.
Pinball 2000, that was done with a what is today a primitive 3D CAD program in comparison to what we do today. But it was state of the art in its day, and that was done. We did that with 3D CAD, but that was towards the end of my time at Williams, right? So the most of the games from the 90s, actually up until I think in '93 we adopted AutoCAD, and prior to that everything was done on paper.
Mm.
And I spent a large portion. I've been a practicing designer for 40 years or something. So it's like I spent a long time of my career on a drawing board with a pencil, and drawing by hand. So AutoCAD made it faster to iterate, and SolidWorks gives us a tremendous amount of vision, and it gives us the power to tolerance things more accurately, to explore and try things. But whenever you can see, so look at the number of features that it took to make this wireform, and now,
I can imagine the amount of iterations and prototyping of these ramps is also at least halved, right?
Yeah. So we, this ramp was, we made some number of physical samples in the model shop by hand to simulate this and to get it right. And so, as a matter of fact, Mike, you remember this ramp I used to have, see this stretch right here where I've highlighted blue?
Yes.
That was open. That was a 2-wire. And it was open as soon as I made the turn. I was in a 2-wire all the way across. But the speed of the ramp, every once in a while, I fell off the ramp. And, it was making us crazy. So I said, screw it. Just let's carry the wall through. And so I don't, I'll tell you what. I don't fall in love with my stuff. When it doesn't work, I try to fix it. And so it's like, as much as I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and optimize the 2-wire just because it's just not there's no upside there. I'd much rather guarantee that the ball is always going to get to the end where I want it to get to. But what I was going to say is every part that you see here has a feature tree just like this, and every part was created that way. Now the other cool thing about SolidWorks is we have a library of things that we've built. Like we don't ever model a post anymore. We don't ever model a flipper, right? Flipper mechanism, all of this stuff. We don't ever model it. We've got it, and we all share it, and everybody just grabs it and installs it. A node board. We never model a node board. Just grab the node board, fit the node board.
Yep.
Right. So there's lots of standard stuff that goes very fast, but there's lots of custom stuff that doesn't. Right. Here, let's look at a playfield. There's playfield, right?
Oh, wow.
There's all the routes, for every insert. Every one of these things is a feature in the tree. Here's all the features in the feature tree for this playfield, right? Every cut extrude, every sketch. Here's see these when they say GG bottom? See, I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that?
I don't know if you can see that
feature. Yeah. So I don't. Sketch 41, GG bottom, 1, 2, 22. I'm working in the finished master model, and the finished master model. My mechanical engineer, my project engineer on this, John Rothermel, he would begin with my sketch from my SolidWorks CAD. And then bring it in and do his thing, and because the final parts are made from all the documentation that he creates. It is his models that go out to vendors, his models that go out for tooling. He creates the drawing for the playfield, all of that stuff, right? So he keeps track of everything so that, when we change something or if we need to reference it, we can come back to it. Here, this is an interesting one. You'll see, what do you see here? You see a different shape for that area, right?
Yeah.
And what do you see here in the center? You see the spinning hat that you saw in Keith's game, right? So you saw it on the 60th because I had it in Bond for some time, and as Michael tell you, it wasn't a lot of fun because it was always in the way of the shot.
It was always in the way, and I'm just like, please get rid of it. It's always blocking everything.
We're like, you're right. Let's get it. But look at all the different things I tried here with with the Dragon Tank target, right?
Interesting.
So this is these things are the feature tree is essentially a history of the development of the here's another interesting one. Look where I had the lights for the Spectre weapons.
Yeah.
Right?
Much bigger footprint. Yeah.
Yeah, they were around the spinner.
Oh, interesting.
And then look at all the iterations here. Look at all the iterations I did here. Look at that shape.
Look at that sunken pit for the
yeah. Right.
Wow.
So look at all the different things I tried, right? So it's like, and then here at one point I moved it over here. It was still the spinner, but it was over there, and it still wasn't good enough. So we ended up killing it. Look at the insert layouts, right? Look at the different insert. Look how many times I moved inserts.
Yeah. So many different shapes there along the Q's scoop there on the right.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the history of the development of the game right there.
That's so cool. That's so special to see.
Right. Everybody thinks we just like, just throw it out there.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on paper, like, you could come up with a layout or like a rule and think, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. But then when you actually try it and you flip it then like Lonnie, this is a quote from Lonnie, and it's like the truest thing I ever learned in this business. The game will tell you whether it's good or not. So in that case of that spinner, the game told us like, hey, it's not for this game. Yep. And it's the same thing when we design rules. The game will tell us if it's fun or not.
That foam pad, the game was screaming at us.
and then I just started screaming too to make the voice louder.
Man, that really is prophetic. That's a great quote.
It is. He told me that when we were working on Lonnie told me that on Aerosmith, and it's been so true.
Yeah, the game tells you what it needs.
That's fantastic. Well, I think I'd love to hear you guys talk about the evolution, maybe to the rules and the idea, the story behind the game that you're presenting in the game, and like what is to come, since there is a lot more code to come.
Yeah. So look, it began with what are the key elements of the 6 films, right? Every film, every film is a Bond assignment, and every film has some significant plot element. And with every film comes a villain, and with every film comes a bondwoman, and with every film comes a henchman. And so we decided, and with every film comes a gadget, and with every film comes a Spectre weapon. So my general thing was we need to represent those things, and this ramp, I thought it was kind of interesting to just say, hey, why don't I dedicate the ramp to villains and henchmen? And then we started talking about it. And Mike, you can jump in here. That was the very rough framework of the progression through the game, right? Yep. Weapons are in the case of Bond's Q's arsenal of stuff, right, from Q branch, it's always about helping you, because it's always about helping Bond, right? And so there are elements that come out of the fiction that are natural, things like he gambles. Whoa, there's some great randomizers there. We can create some. It's pretty easy to imagine there are randomizers because it's a gambling scene.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then, of course, the areas of the playfield, dedicating different areas of the playfield, knowing that, I can't have something as complex as the Bird 1 rocket base for every film, right? I can't have Fort Knox and the Bird 1 rocket base. I can't have, it's like I have to make choices because the architecture lends itself. The scene with the ninjas rappelling into the volcano seemed to me like a natural, massive, multi-ball thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a scene that had a big enough impression, a very important thing, a crescendo, right? Yeah.
Mike, talk about some of the multiplier rule. Mike came up with a pretty cool multiplier rule, and then we decided to tie it, and it can be a very powerful thing. So talk about some of the stuff, Mike.
All right. Well, I'll start since you brought the multiplier rule first. Early on, we're like, well, how should we have the Bond women represented? And I think I was the one that pitched, let's make it a playfield multiplier, because it kind of like empowers the women to be like the most powerful thing in the game. Like, if you get 7x scoring, like, you're going to blow this game up once the feature is put in the game. And the idea, like, I wanted to do is I wanted people to qualify the different bondwomen. You had to, each one represents a movie, and there's different sections of the playfield that represent that movie, represent those movies. I want you to interact with all of those playfield features to qualify the bondwomen to then collect them for the multiplier. So you have to like, shoot around the different playfield enough times to light the multiplier, then collect it, and then it goes in your bank. You'll be able to activate the playfield multiplier with the lockdown bar button once you have it. And then once it's running, it will run for a specified amount of time based on how many multipliers you stacked. And if you get all 6, then you get the extra X to make it 7, and that's the 007 scoring. Also, you have to choose when to use it, because you'll lose it when you drain. Whatever you have lit, you'll have to redo it on the next ball. So there's a risk and reward of when you want to cash it out. And also, if you say you light up 3, and then you activate them, you can't add to the one. I can't add to the next 4 while the other ones are running. I have to wait for that to be done before I could go back and requalify them all again.
So it will be timed then? That's the intention?
It will be timed.
Okay.
And the more of the multipliers you stack when you cash it out, the longer that timer will be. And there'll be a mechanism to add time probably once. You do something while it's running to add time, as will be for the modes too, which you'll be able to hit some targets a number of times to add time to a running mode, in the future. What I'm talking about is not for the release next week. What you'll get next week, you'll get the stacking like we talked about. All the villains, all the henchmen, 2 of the Q branch modes, the 2 single ball ones will all be stackable with the multi-ball. So if you're in the mode and you start the multi-ball, the mode continues and they're running together. So you can finish the mode during the multi-ball, which some of the harder modes of multi-balls will make it easier to finish. The Spectre weapons will not stack because later on, when we get farther along in this game, when you defeat one of the Spectre weapon modes, you're going to get a perk that will last either the rest of that ball or possibly the rest of the game. So one of them is going to be an add-a-ball that you do with the button that you'll be able to use once per ball in a multi-ball. So to make those, you have to earn those. Finishing those hurry-ups in a multi-ball is way too easy, so we're not going to let you stack them in that. You got to earn those things because they're going to be powerful perks.
Will those rewards be statically tied to those Spectre weapons, or will completing a weapon allow you to choose a reward?
No, it will be tied to the weapon. So,
okay.
Just for the example, weapon A will always be the add-a-ball. Weapon B will always be whatever that one's perk is.
Okay.
Cool. I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
The multiplier.
Can I interrupt your train of thought even more?
Yes. Yep.
The Starcade on Twitch was asking, what are the 3 lights under the ramp? What do they do? You can go through and light them, but what happens?
Oh, that's for which 3 lamps? The From Russia with Love?
Yeah, From Russia with Love on the right orbit. That will give you indicators towards your progress of qualifying the bondwoman, the From Russia with Love bondwoman, and we'll probably have some other stuff in there at some point too. So that it's going to be a progression indicator for one or more things.
Yeah, originally that shot, because it lends itself to combinations. That From Russia with Love rule has always been talked about in terms of what can we do with combinations.
Yeah, and there is one of the modes now. The mode with Grant. I'll tell you the name of it because I have it written down. It is Encounter on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
It always starts with the right orbit is always lit, but when you make that right orbit, it lights all the combo shots off that right orbit briefly. And if you make the next shot, you advance in the rule farther, the mode farther, but you're getting a combo bonus, so it's going to double the score of the next shot. And what's cool about that mode that a lot of people probably don't know is if you make the right orbit to start the combo, and then you make the side loop never goes out, where all the other combos will end after 2 shots. And you could, the most skillful way and the most lucrative way to finish that mode would be shoot the right orbit and then loop that side loop as many times as possible. If your last name rhymes with Elwin, you could probably beat that mode in one combo if you're good at doing repeating those loops, and that will be the path to biggest scores. Also,
I think next week with mode stacking, the game is going to feel radically different.
I can tell you from playing what we have implemented with that so far, it feels totally different than it does right now, like in a much better way. Most of the modes will, and some of them already do. You can beat the mode, but there's a skillful way to beat the mode that might not be so obvious that will be worth way more points. The example I just gave of the counter on the Ori Express is one of them. There is the mode that's in the game currently, the training grounds with Rosa Club. Mm-hmm. If you make the flashing shots, they're worth more points, so you want to shoot those all the time. For Professor Dent, that Professor Dent mode, there's a roving shot, and most people I notice are just trying to pick off the roving shot, 8 times or however many shots you got to finish the mode. But if you shoot the tank target, it freezes the roving shot, and then a new roving shot starts going. The biggest path to points in that mode is to freeze all the shots in the playfield before you pick off any of them. And then if you look, there's a fast blinking shot, which is the oldest one you froze. And if you then collect them all in order of how you froze them, that will be the biggest score by far out of that mode. And the one that's blinking fast will always tell you which is the next oldest one you did. So you don't have to memorize, I froze this one and that one. The game shows you, but it's not really apparent.
That's a question I have for you then, both because as a, we've got a game designer and also someone who works with the rules and designs rules. How do you find it most effective from players or to you guys to give these instructions to the players other than natural learning, right, through playing the game? With a rule set that complicated.
So look, the very first thing that we always try to do is let's just show them what shots we want them to make. Right. And so it really begins with, we want you to pay attention to this. So, we're highlighting it. And of course there's some instructions that, are going to be on screen. Honestly, some of it is discovery, but discovery is a good thing. Yeah.
The discovery aspect is some of it is absolutely by design. Like, we want you to learn that stuff because that's a lot of fun. Be like, I did this time, and look what happened.
To go back and figure out how I did that versus having it presented to you and you try to do that, right? It's
exactly, yeah. And sometimes, the achievements if you look at the list of achievements of what you got to do, sometimes there's achievements tied with doing the more skillful method in a mode of like, if you beat the mode this way, a lot of times that might be a clue to you, like, try that, not just for the achievement, but you're probably going to score a lot more points if you did that way. That way too.
You know what? The best games allow you lots of different ways to play them, right? And then when you create something that has lots of different ways to get to a place, you're also inherently allowing a real diverse set of player skills to have fun with the game. Right, because not everybody can just do exactly what we want them to do, and players naturally, it's like they're going to play the way they play. They're not going to play the game in this progression that we imagine in our heads. That's the biggest single flaw that new designers make is the imagination that somehow, people are going to progress through the game in some way that you envision, that just doesn't happen. So
like when I'm designing like a mode, especially in this game, like my goal that I've worked with Lonnie on this is like, the more casual player, I want them to say, all right, there's red arrows in this mode. I have to shoot the red arrows. And if I get them, then I finish that mode. And that might be all they ever do because they're a much more casual player. They're not, but I want there also to be a way to play those modes for the more advanced player, to give them more of a challenge and to give them more of a reason to do it. Like, hey, the more advanced players are going for big scores. They should, and they've got the skills to pull off the more skillful way to finish these modes to get those bigger scores. So I want to I want it to be fun for everybody. And again, and that sense of discovery is like, all right, well, I can just blast through the mode this way, but if I do this other way, I'm gonna, my score is gonna like double or more.
Is that difficult for you guys to do though? Is it difficult to have to potentially design something one way, but also have it achievable or attainable another way?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it's hard to make the game for everybody, but at the same time, how we get there. We get there with lots of iteration, lots of listening to you guys, lots of playing internally, lots of different skill levels playing, and lots of people saying, I'm having fun with this or I'm not. Right. Mm-hmm. Right now we just don't have as much feedback stuff as we're going to have in the game yet. And I think that that plays a huge role in how a game feels, and so the fun elements of the game are the game basically responding to whatever it is that you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
I'll give you some more sneak previews of what's to come in the future. Again, this isn't for next week, but the Jetpack multi-ball, how it's going to work. There's going to be more than one, but the first one is supposed to work is the beginning is correct how it's in there now, but what's going to happen is once you start the multi-ball, after you release the ball off the Jetpack, there'll be 7. There'll be all the jackpots will be. You need to make 7 of them to get to the super jackpot round. Then you're going to have to shoot back to the Jetpack to put a ball on it, and the bond on the Jetpack is going to fly around back and forth with that ball on him, and you got to shoot the tank target with another ball while he's over it, so he drops it onto that tank target on the top, and there's your super jackpot. And then it's going to be on a timer. So say if you had 30 seconds to do it, if you're really fast, you could shoot it up there. If you get the super on the first try, you could load another ball into that Jetpack and try to pull off another one before the round ends.
Oh, wow.
And then it goes back to now you've got to get the jackpots again, but it gets a little harder because then they're going to dry up after you make them. So you have to make each one instead of any shot.
There's a lot of tension involved in getting control of the ball and making that shot that Mike's talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have a split second of timing there.
Yep, and then
that's a good question. Is there going to be additional video content with the new multi-ball?
Yeah, there's lots of video content that's not in the game yet. That's been the biggest challenge with this game is every piece of content needs approval, and there's a ton of video content. So, we don't have that much control of how quickly things get turned. So
a few people in the chat, George, asked about any more music releases or
I've been seeing a lot of people talking about that on Pinside and the internet as well.
Yeah, it's a possibility for sure.
Awesome.
I had one more thing I was going to say about the
Are
future.
we going to look at the CAD image anymore? Or can we close out and do a quick? So then that way I could get y'all a little bit bigger and.
Okay.
But that means people have to look at me.
But I know. Just
well, to circle back to the topic of differences between the premium and the pro, the premium/LE. On the premium and LE models, because of the physical ball lock around the rocket, the feature that I designed for Stranger Things called Swipe a Ball, where you could steal your own ball lock and use it in a different multi-ball than what it was intended for, that's going to make a return in Bond in a future update. Again, that's not in next week's one, but it will be a feature that will be available in this game before we get it to the finish line.
That's awesome.
So for those that don't know what that feature is, if you have a physical ball lock for Bird One multi-ball in this game and you're in Jetpack, you could hold down the action button to release that locked ball, to use it as an add-a ball to keep your Jetpack multi-ball going, or perhaps also in a wizard mode in the future. At the expense of now, if you want to advance your Bird One multi-ball rule again, you have to relight the locks and relock the ball that you took, or the balls, because in this case you could have 2 locked balls and free them both. So it's like you're borrowing from yourself and you have to pay it back with a little bit of interest of having to do the work again to requalify the locks and then relock the balls. But then you weigh the risk and reward of do I want to use this now because what if I don't make it to start that multi-ball later, but I want to get the points now in this one?
That seems to be a overarching,
Cool.
not theme, but a reoccurrence in multiple modes here, which I like. I think my favorite thing in pinball is the risk reward, especially when it's a physical thing, right? A shot that's close to the flippers and you have a high chance of reject. I like how you're implementing it in the code, especially with the playfield multipliers. I'm very excited to mess with that once it's released. That's interesting. The swipeable, you'll have to show that to me sometime when we're playing Stranger Things.
Yeah, I'll put the Stranger Things back in one of my cabinets when you're here visiting, Kyle, and I'll show it to you. It's people really liked it. But the whole idea behind it, you need a physical ball lock to do it. That's how I designed it to be. That was like a perk of having the physical ball lock.
Of course, yeah.
And there's actually a setting in Stranger Things that probably most people don't know, that you could turn it on so I could steal the other players. I could swipe a ball from somebody else's locks. We actually put a setting in there. It defaults to off, so you can't do it, but you could turn that feature on.
Going back to the 80s.
I could steal somebody else's locked balls.
I've always liked the stealing locks thing. I first bumped into it with Johnny Mnemonic, right? When you had ball locks on the Matrix, right? On the little Matrix playfield. Mm-hmm. And we went back and forth for a while there about, we actually explored the notion of not letting you steal ball locks, which was a real hassle because you had to go up there, get the balls off, clear the balls every time, and it really changed the pacing of the game. Yeah. So we said, screw it, let's just let the guy steal the locks.
I think most players do enjoy that. I think it is a lot of the very competitive players in the competitive scene that don't like that.
Yeah,
it
adds
much.
a new tactic too, right?
I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
I know how to steal.
If you're going to be greedy and go for locking all your balls,
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, okay.
Yeah, so the jetpack will have a single ball mode in it too. It won't always be a multi-ball, and there'll be another multi-ball in the future with a different whole set of rules. Like George said, there'll be a mode at some point, probably a single ball one, possibly, where you control the jetpack when he's holding the ball, and you got to drop it off on things, in different places. So that's all coming down the line.
Nice.
What
about the
future
Starcade
updates.
asked, controlling the ball saves from side to side with the flippers?
No, that's not going to be. The game is way too easy. For the same reason you can't light them both. Like, it just played forever when we were lighting them both when we were developing it.
Yeah.
Right, you're so good at just quickly switching.
And if you can lane change your ball save, like, you may as well light them both. Like, it's way too easy, and then the game, like, it takes away a lot of the
ball
challenge
times,
of the game.
Yeah, and it kills ball times.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. A cool question we got from Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 said, this is a weird question, but what stage, George, in your designing of playfields do the ramps and wire forms come in? Do you think of them first, or are they put in just to move the ball from one place to the other?
There's really no, there isn't any, what I do, the way I start is I start with the toys, because the toys I know are going to occupy some amount of playfield real estate. And thinking about a toy also gets me thinking about what are the interactions that I want between the game and the toy, and then also helps me define how big am I going to allow myself to make the toy, because when I start placing something somewhere, it takes up a physical amount of space, and now if I look at the thing and I go, oh my God, I've got a 4-shot playfield or a 5-shot playfield or whatever, then I start getting, then I start saying, I can't make that toy that big. I have to do that. So I think that the ramps are, like I always tell the guys, around here all the time, look, ramps are a toy in and of themselves. And especially if you make them interesting and you make them do something, something cool. So I don't separate, like I don't go through a phase where I'm only working at the raw playfield level and then the ramp level and then I'm working it all simultaneously. Now, I may not worry too much about what the shape of the ramp is. That may come later. right? Like I may try to make the ramp sexy later, but I know that I have to return. I want to go across the play field, or I want to create a situation where I have a repeatable ramp, or I want to have a situation where, I've done both, right? I've done crossing ramps, I've done repeatable ramps, I've done lots of different iterations of those things, and I don't really separate them out. But like in this game, the bird one became, because it occupied so much space, and I really wanted the Spectre drop targets around bird one to be some interesting, rattle in there, struggle to light them all, fight to get, and I wanted to create different ways into that area. So I wanted, to the left of the targets, take down the targets. If two of the targets on the left are up, there's a way in from the right side. So that physical area took up some amount of space. So right away I start thinking, okay, how am I going to get all these other shots in there? And so it's hard to say you're not always thinking of the whole thing,
I remember when we were working on Deadpool, George, the first thing you showed me was a blank piece of wood, and you had that what became the katana shot, the cross shot, and your left ramp, and you're like, Mike, flip this and tell me how it feels.
Yeah.
And because you're like, can you make this reliably? And I'm like, yeah, I can make this. So that was,
so that was a situation where I really wanted to create a different kind of shot. So I went out of my way. I was going out of my way to, what does a different kind of shot look like? What does it feel like? And so, in that particular case, I'm focused on that thing and building the rest of it around it, right?
Yeah, both of those are really good examples in my head about just a very effective usage of real estate, right? That with how much the bird one takes up, what else can we do with that? With the cross shot on Deadpool, we've got Lil Deadpool, we've got the drop targets. What can we do with that space behind? And that's something to think about.
Like I always have. Thing about bird one is that it's a big thing, and it's sort of in the bozo zone, and anyone can act. Anyone can. It's a not hard multi-ball to get. I have consistently. I've used that a lot, right? I did it with Little Deadpool. I've done it with a lot of my games where I have a thing that novices can access, and yet it has to have a deeper, more engaging way to interact with it, right? Because you got to appeal to everybody.
Yeah, like the Bird 1 multi-ball in Bond is very accessible multi-ball. Like most players of all skill sets are probably going to play it, once per game at a minimum. For a minimum for the casual players, guys like me will get it a couple times a game. But there's a whole layer of that multi-ball rules that most people probably don't know yet to really maximize points. It's not just about shoot the arrows and hit the rocket. The bigger path to success is avoiding the rocket until you've dried up every single jackpot. And there's 3 waves of them, and they get progressively more valuable, and that builds the value of your super. So you want to clear out every single jackpot and then make the super, and then you can get the maximum super jackpot. And there's a way to extend the multi-ball right at the beginning, too. Like, if you make the 3 side shots, any combination of them in the first 10 seconds of the multi-ball start before they go away, you get a multi-ball extend. So when you drain down to 1 ball, your multi-ball gets resurrected automatically. And I think most people don't know that still. And that's been in the game since we shipped it.
Yeah, the work in the Spectre letters, I was surprised at how people didn't pick up on that right away, and so it's like I saw people at Expo when we first put the game out, and people hadn't figured it out, and we're like, okay, we got to figure out a way to get turn everybody on to the notion of work the Spectre letters, right?
Yeah, and once the perks go in for the Spectre weapons, that people will probably put a lot more focus on wanting to get those out of the way early on, because then they'll be able to take those perks with them, either through the rest of each ball or potentially the rest of the game.
I can't wait to play this game more. I'm happy that it'll live here for a little while, but I think I'll be playing it a lot when I come up to see you, Mike. So you'll teach me the ins and outs.
Yeah, it'll be two floors below you when you're staying here. So, you can go play it anytime you want.
We've got. I mean, George said. I told George he only had to be here for an hour, but we're very clearly coming up on 2 now, and we are very.
We had some, the technical difficulties sort of dragged it on. I'm here.
That easily ate up a half an hour of our technical difficulties.
Yes. But I think, there's a few questions now that I think, I know the answer to, but people are asking about accessories. People are asking about art blades. Will the accessory package be a Q1, Q2 thing this year, perhaps?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. When did you ask when?
Yeah, people are asking about art blades, shooter rods, things like that.
Yeah. So there's there's all that stuff exists. I mean, the art blades are not a lot different than the LE art blades. It's a different set of Ken Adams sketches, but they're basically Ken Adams sketches. The topper you've already seen. It's very similar to the topper on the 60th. And there's going to be some things so the topper has got a bunch of RGB LEDs in it, and it can be different colors. And we're gonna do things like, as all the missions are color coded, right? So we're gonna do things with the topper relative to the colors, and there's a shooter knob. It's essentially the Union Jack. So you've seen that also on the 60th.
Okay. That's so matching the 60th, which you guys can see in videos that have been released a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that for a second as well? It looks brilliant. It looks like a really fun game to shoot. We have heard there are multiple locations across the country that are purchasing them to put them out for play. Will people have the chance to play those at any of the pinball events this year? Will you guys be bringing them to any?
That's a good question. I'm not sure if we're bringing any. I know there are some going because I don't remember where I heard this, but I did hear that somebody's taking one. And I think maybe it was Texas. I can't remember. Somebody told me they were taking their game to one of the big shows. I'm sure you'll see some at shows because a couple of people have said that that's what they're doing.
Hero to the people. Good on them. I can't wait to play one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Will you all be doing a dead flip stream? A lot of people are asking to see gameplay of it. And
yep.
Super
for sure.
excited.
Yep. Yeah, we just got 100% approvals on their code, and those guys are going to be at 1.0 when they ship, pretty sure.
They are for sure.
Yeah. So
and the game is a ton of fun.
It is. It absolutely is.
Someone was asking questions also away from the 60th anniversary game. Achievements for the Cornerstone James Bond, implementing soon, more of them.
Yeah, there won't be any new ones on this release probably next week, but there'll be a ton more to come. Yeah. Like when it's all said and done, I think it will be over 100 I've got planned already.
Yeah, there's a
lot.
There's also cross game achievements between the 60th and our game.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us, y'all.
Yeah, really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
In the respect of everyone's time, I think maybe we will start to wind down. But again, thank you very much for making time for us, even wading through the technical difficulties here. Yeah. I think I need to come to the George Gomez School of SolidWorks because I could sit and watch you do that for hours. That's incredible. But
I was we'll do a show where I'll build your ramp from scratch. How's that?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, definitely.
That'd That would be fun to watch. I would totally tune in for that.
I think everyone would
all right,
totally
we'll line it up.
It'll be fun on an opposite level of the stream where Jack Danger welded his own ball habit trails together in his studio. It'll just be the opposite version of that, the antithesis.
Right.
So can we humor our chat a little bit too?
Do they have more questions?
We want to hear some.
Let's open it up to
talk.
chat. Yeah.
Rivet Tech Talk with George. Any tips for riveting?
I'm sorry, say again?
for riveting? For rivet.
Any tips for riveting?
Well, you need the right tool.
Rivet Tech Talk for George. Step one, you need a good rivet tool, right?
You need a good rivet tool,
We do sell one on our website.
I have, it's like that. Give me a second here. I might have some riveting stuff right behind me.
A lot of people.
You gotta mix it up sometimes, right? It's good. We were talking about doing a tutorial video on riveting as well.
While George is looking for the rivets, I'll give you guys one more nugget of what's coming in the future.
I'm here for the nuggets.
The other four Q branch modes are going to start as single balls, and they can be graduated to multi balls if you make the required shots before the time runs out.
How much time do I have?
So they'll be to do the mode. It depends on the mode. So
here
he's back. He's back.
Here's the. I don't know if you can see. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yay!
Okay, that is my rivet tool. So there's a little recess in here, and essentially the rivet sits in there, and you just take a hammer and tap it, and so all of my prototype ramp flaps and all that stuff, that's how I do it. See that?
I
That's
think
simple.
we actually sell that exact tool. So if you want that, you can buy it from us.
There you go.
That's really awesome. Sorry,
you made it sound so easy.
Is there a discount code for the George Gomez rivet deal? 10% off with code Gomez10.
I think Emoto will work on that and make that happen for sure. I'm trying to see that chat is going crazy right now. A lot of people are saying thank you for your whole wonderful back catalog of games, George. People love them, including and especially Fast Break. Well,
I love doing it. It's been. I'm blessed that I've gotten to do it, and when I got out of school, I thought I was going to make games for a couple of years, and then I was going to get a real job. And here we are, and here we are 40 years later.
Yay! We're glad you stayed.
Well, I'm blessed that George hired me, because it now allows me to do this too. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm happy to have Mike. I'm happy to have Mike on the team. Mike's all the teams that he's worked with. I think he brings a new perspective, and I think that also the fact that he works with different designers on different teams also helps everything. It gives teams new perspective, right? So I think Mike's doing a great job.
Thank you, George.
I'll second that. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thanks. I always want to make George proud, so that means a lot to me that he said that.
Let's see. People are asking about other accessories for other games, Godzilla Topper, Rush accessories, stuff like that.
Yeah, they're coming.
Yep.
I mean, I feel bad because I've said this before. I think it's simply it's really been a question of just how much stuff can we make at any given point in time. Godzilla toppers are really coming very soon because I saw them on the schedule. So, and there's a whole raft of Rush stuff also, and the Rush topper is also very cool.
It is super cool.
Yeah, it's I think the Rush guys are going to lose their minds when they see the Rush topper.
All right.
I think it will absolutely be worth the wait, I believe.
Yeah.
Start saving your pennies because it might be coming.
There's an interesting Insider Connected suggestion. I'm not sure if I don't think it's something you already do, but can you award a medal or the trophies for the player who reaches the wizard mode the first on Insider Connected?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
That
very
would
interesting.
be nuts, right?
Yeah, it would be. First is tough, right? Because there's we'd have to somehow monitor the universe of Insider Connected people playing the wizard mode. It's an interesting concept. We will have we're working on a quest system right now that's pretty cool, and the quest system is going to have things very similar to that. And so I can see that.
Some people are talking about issues with their Rush Premium and LEs with the Node 10. I assume if people are having issues, they should reach out to technical services.
Yeah. So absolutely. We had some bad crimps, wrong pin, wrong connector. That is correct. And I think that that anyone not everyone's going to have the problem. It's not on 100% of the games, so your game may never ever have the issue. But if you do have a problem, then we'll make good on it. So just reach out to tech support, and they'll square you away. But I think some large percentage of the games are not going to have the issue. I don't think there's any. But yeah, we screwed up some pin. It's got somebody picked up the wrong pins and pinned some number of harnesses with the wrong pin.
Got it. Reach out to tech support, and they will be able to help you identify if you may have that problem. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Someone, I think this question from Nuno Gomez here is this, when you thought as a young boy that one day I'm going to make a James Bond pinball machine, is this the game that you imagined that you would make? I mean, is this?
So I think I'll tell you that I've absolutely made the game I wanted to make. I don't know that I ever imagined I would be making a James Bond pinball game. And I do think that, sometimes you really have to wonder about, the fate of things, right? That things happen to happen the way they happen because, as you guys know, I wasn't originally intended to design this game, and so I have often, I've thought about that particular sequence of events and how, just how, what a weird coincidence, what a weird, whatever you want to say, what a twist of fate, if you will. But I'm very happy I got to do it, as much work as it was to do my job and design a game. I don't want to do that anytime soon again. But but as much as I love designing games, I also love running the studio and kind of driving our efforts. And so I'll tell you that I made the game I wanted to make. I wish there were definitely challenges. I wanted, I've second guessed myself a lot on some of the selections about, is there enough Goldfinger in the game? Is there enough, this or that? And you never know. I mean, that there's more stuff coming. So, we're going to be putting a lot of stuff into the game. So yeah, I'm absolutely happy that I got to do it, and happy with where it's. I'm not happy with it yet, but we never are until we're done, and I'm not done yet. So
that's a great answer.
Hey.
And you probably didn't think when you were a kid. You probably didn't think it any farther than wanting that attaché case for Christmas.
Right.
You told me about.
That's right. I had that attaché case. I had that attaché case was an awesome Christmas present when I was 10 years old. And just getting it, that fiction was, I couldn't wait for the next James Bond movie, and so, and clearly I made the James Bond that I wanted to make.
Do you have a favorite part about the game? Like the one that, something about the game that instantly just like warms and tickles your heart.
So immediately. I'll tell you what, I mean, I like to shoot the game. So I like the way the game shoots. And when I do combinations on the game, even though we don't have all the feedback stuff that I want in the game yet, I feel great when I manage to hit those combos, because the game is fast and it's hard to shoot. And certainly at my level, I watch other guys like beat it up, and I'm like, I don't know how people do that, but it's challenging for me. So when I play it well, I love it.
I love all the combos on it too. Like they're really, really satisfying, especially if you make a couple side loops in a row and then shoot that side ramp off of that. After you just feel like $1 million.
Mike,
and there will be plenty of.
Here's the difference in our skill sets. Mike keeps telling me the henchmen are easy.
Yeah. Oh, they're way too easy. Yeah.
Henchmen are easy. Really?
Yeah.
Shows his skill ceiling. He's too good. We have someone in the chat here mentioning how James Bond was a huge part of their life growing up, and is incredible to see Sean Connery themed James Bond pinball game, and then proceeds to ask, is this your favorite IP that you've got to design a game around, George?
It's hard. It's in there. I mean, I think that that's interesting. That sometimes I think about, what would I do if I was making a piece of art, if it was only one of, and I didn't have to worry about satisfying the universe of pinball fans. It's just a fantasy, right? It's like what am I going to do in my retirement kind of thing, right? Years from now, I'm not retiring anytime soon, but I don't, it's right in there, right? Look, I have some of my best games are IP that I was lukewarm on, and some of my best games are also IP that I was crazy about, right? And so I think that what I do is I try to immerse myself in whatever the IP is, and I try to understand what it is and how I'm going to represent that, and that's really kind of where I go with it. So I have, I had a lot of fun. I've been blessed. I have a portfolio of games that they're all over the map, right? I had a lot of fun doing the first Batman, The Dark Knight with Lyman, and I had a lot more fun doing the second Batman with Lyman and Mike. And I had fun. All my games are very different, right? Deadpool, I had a great time with Deadpool. I love to this day, I love playing Deadpool. I mean, my aspirations are that I want Bond to, when we're all done, to be as fun as Deadpool is. And so, every once in a while, I had a lot of fun with NBA Fast Break. Mm-hmm. And at the time, when I launched NBA Fast Break, nobody liked it. And so,
here's like a follow-up question, something I've been wanting to ask you for a while. Is like working with like such prestigious brands. I mean, like from Corvette to IPs like Universal Monsters and Marvel and James Bond. I mean, what scares you? Does like revealing this stuff? What makes you nervous? Like, does anything anymore?
For me, it's the brands that give us the most freedom are the games that are going to be the best. It's that simple. If a brand trusts us with the IP, we are going to make a better game. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. When there are challenges with a brand not trusting us or getting to know us or whatever, it takes longer and it's a bigger challenge. But I mean, I understand that, a brand has to be comfortable. That's why, like the relationships where we've been repeatedly successful are brands that they know us, they trust us, they're going to let us do what we do. And I think we always get there with every brand. I think eventually they realize, oh man, these guys really know what they're doing, and we get there. But I'm less scared about what doing justice to the IP. I'm more scared of what are the challenges that I'm going to run into in terms of brand integrity, maintaining brand equity, brand integrity, all those kinds of things, right?
Yeah. Huh. That's a good answer. Thank you. Huh. I don't know. I think it's just incredible to see, through every studio you've worked with, but especially things that you've touched. There's a lot of big, very well-known, recognizable throughout the world, right, IP and brand to that. I just could never imagine stepping up to something like that and being like, all right, I need to take this bull by the horns and do it.
We did Lord of the Rings at the right time, mm-hmm. right? We did. I think that even things like The Sopranos, did that at the right time. So I think that, I've really enjoyed all of those experiences, different teams, different collaborators. Certainly I've worked with some of the best, right? And they've made me better. I think I did probably 6 or 7 games with my friend Lyman, right? And he was one of the best. I've done several games with Lonnie. I've done I've done one game with Dwight. I've had some great guys that have, and all of the collaborations have made me better. So the games are what they are because all those guys brought their stuff to it. It's not in any way, shape, or form are these things a one-man show. And anybody who tells you that is full of it.
I think the whole department as a whole that under George has influenced each other. Like I know I was influenced by every lead I've worked with at Stern, and a large part of why I feel like I'm good at what I do now, a lot of it I attribute to the stuff that Lyman influenced me and taught me when I worked on games with him. But I've learned lots of somethings from every team I've worked on in this company in 6 years. And I've grown because of it, because we all encourage each other to everybody wants each other to succeed and make the most fun games. It's not all about, they say there's no I in team, and there isn't in this company. Like this studio that George runs, it's very much a big team effort, and people on other teams are helping the other teams with their problems or ideas and stuff. It's very, everybody's all hands on at everything.
Yeah, the magic is that like Mike said, it's we're interested in the success of the company, and everybody understands that their freedoms come from that collaboration, really. And it's hard to understand when you're on the outside. I hope I'm making sense, but
absolutely.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of people need to realize, or not need to, but realize how collaborative everything really is.
Yeah,
more than
I
you would
always like
imagine.
to reference it to reference it to movie production. You know, there's the glorified director, but really there's a crew of 300 people doing many different things to actually create the movie.
Yep.
But that's awesome. It all starts from the top. So you're a great leader, George, and it shows in all of your products. It's amazing.
You know what? I think I hope to be. I try to be. I think leadership is not a privilege. It's a service, and I think you have to approach it that way. And I think that my success is the studio's success, really.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Cheers. That's wonderful. That was a great.
I know. So good.
I feel inspired. I feel inspired and humbled. And
are you ready to go make a pinball machine?
Yes, I'm absolutely ready.
Well, what else you got from the audience?
Someone keeps asking if you've seen the Monster Bash remake that Chicago Gaming's put together. How does it make you feel that there's such a pent-up desire for something you did 20-something years ago that someone went through the hassle of making it again?
You know, I think it's great. You exposed a bunch of people that didn't have an opportunity to get the original, and so I think it's great. Those games that those games are being remade. You know, Cactus and Bash and Medieval and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun making that game. That game was my favorite for so long. I'll never get rid of the game. I still have my original. And I have a lot of memories associated to the making of that game. And I think that that team was very special, and I think that team was very special to me. And so, Vince Pontarelli and Lyman, Chris Shipman, those guys, it was a strong team. Kevin O'Connor, it's just, some of those guys are lifelong friends, right? And so, and I've done so much. I've done a ton of games with Kevin. I did a ton of games with, Lyman. We did Bash, we did Revenge, we did Sopranos, we did Dark Knight, we did 66. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of those games you learn from each other, you understand the other person's style and kind of the things that are significant to them, and so yeah.
Someone was asking, how many games do you still own, George? Video games, pinball?
Yeah, so I own all my own games. I still own a Terminator 2, which I'm going to unload soon. I own what else do I own? I own a Medieval. I own a Jurassic Park. I own a I own a Guardians. I own what else do I have? I have a bunch of them in boxes. I have no place to put them. I have to rotate games in order to get games in my house. So I'm
at the same point. One in, one out for me.
Yeah.
I'm at full capacity always.
You have a good assortment of games that you've worked on over the years also, Mike, right? You've got your Kiss, you've got a Mandalorian, you've got Stranger Things.
I got a Stranger Things, I got a Iron Maiden, I have a Batman. Batman was the first game I got from Stern, because it's very special to me for many reasons, not the least of which it was the first project I got to work on at Stern when I started. But yeah, and I have stuff, I even have my Mortal Kombat 3 when I worked on it at Midway Games, I've kept a lot of stuff over the years. I've rotated stuff in and out, but I've got a full house, of a full basement, so to speak, of pins, plus my development stuff because I work from home. So, I'm sitting at my desk in my basement right now. They can't see, obviously, because of how we set this up, but I'm surrounded by my games plus my 3 development cabinets.
And then 20-something playfields you have.
Yeah, and I've got more than a half dozen Spike 2 playfields because I work on every game. So I tend to have the playfields for most of them hanging around here.
I'm in line for Godzilla, just like the rest of you guys.
I got mine in the summer, and I didn't. There were no strings for me to pull. I when we announced the game, I said I wanted one, and I got it the following June. So it was worth the wait, though. And I've been playing that one a ton. I love that game.
Everyone in the chat wants to buy your Terminator 2, George. So I think you should put it up for auction, and you'll probably sell it for $50,000. So
100.
I'll help you facilitate that somehow.
It's got a spare original skull. It's got all kinds of original spares with it. So yeah,
that's cool. Oh man. Well, we can talk about this forever. The only reason I want to cut it off about now is I need to be up really early to catch an airplane to fly up to where you guys are tomorrow.
Oh, because he's going.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm going to see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Thankfully, it's only going to be below 10 degrees for one day for the next week, so hopefully I'll bring a little bit of the warmth north. But
I hope so. Yeah, Saturday it's supposed to warm up.
Better.
Yeah, please.
Is there any...
George,
I was going to say, any final words on what we've got, what's coming?
I'll tell you, final words is we absolutely are head down trying to get as much in the game and get it to you as soon as we can. We're not turning the dial back in any way, shape, or form. The team is dedicated to making the game amazing, and we're going to continue to jam on it until it is. Accessories are coming. All that stuff, all that stuff is all locked and loaded, approved, and ready to rock. It's just not, we just have to find the time to build it. But as far as software, we're on we originally were on like about a 4-week cadence, and we're trying to speed that up. We just did a release 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we're about to drop again next week. So we're trying to speed up the cadence, even if it's smaller chunks, to get your stuff quickly. And just keep talking to us about what you like and don't like. We are sort of monitoring all channels, so to speak, and we do listen. We may not always agree, but we do listen.
Yeah. And started in March, I'm once again on the road, hitting the pinball show circuit again. Yeah. Largely with the folks from Marco. So you guys will have tons of opportunity to come to talk to me about anything, not just Bond, any game, but especially Bond, though, because I have such a large role in helping with this one. So
ton of Bond.
And I'm happy to answer.
There's a ton of really cool Bond stuff in the works, and I just wish we could get it to you faster. Doing what we can.
Yeah, and I only scratched the surface of what's to come. Like, there's a lot more surprises coming for like things that we'll do in the code. That'll be in throughout the course of the next many updates.
Sure. Okay, and then one last question, because I've seen this 1,000 times.
I got a last question too. Last question is gonna be my last question.
Oh, your last question. Okay, second to last question. Someone is asking, or has asked many times, is there any slated time for the last run of Elvira's to hit the line? Or is that something they should talk to their distributor about?
No, there is. I mean, there's more Elvira coming. The thing is that so the production schedules get moved around a lot, and some of it has to do with, what do we have parts to make, and some of it has to do with other things like, sometimes it's a business constraint, like a licensor says certain amount of product has to be done by a certain time. Sometimes it's something like we're trying to fill back orders. So we are not out of the woods by any stretch in terms of parts that we need. So that, what does that mean? It means that a lot of times you'll see the schedule shift simply because we can get parts for this game, but we can't get parts for that game. And so you'll see a lot of that. But there's more Elvira's coming. I guarantee you there's more Elvira's coming. I'm not sure when exactly, because the schedules shift, and yeah, somebody sends me emails on this kind of stuff, and I go to meetings and all this kind of stuff, but it's just not the number one priority in my. So people ask me, how do you not know? I was like, well, I'm not paying attention because it's not pertinent to the, I've got 500 other problems that don't have to do with knowing when Elvira's on the line. But
there are a lot of moving wheels. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, lots of moving parts for sure. Yeah.
All right. So now the final question: do you have any other exciting Insider Connected updates for us?
Yeah, so Insider Connected, so there's, again, more stuff coming. I hope everybody's, I think everyone's really liking the year-end stuff that we did with IC. There's more IC stuff coming. You're going to see the app. You're going to see, and yes, let me clarify. Home leaderboards will be there at some point. Yes.
Like he was reading the chat.
We're working on. Yes. I think
he knows,
I said it before. Everybody's. It's like the most asked for feature.
I think you just named the top two: the app and the home leaderboard.
Yeah. And so, coming. Lots more cool stuff coming.
Are you going to grace us with your presence at MGC? I know I said only one more question, but I had to.
Milwaukee?
Yep, the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah.
The end of March.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's an easy one for me because it doesn't mean the whole weekend, so it's pretty easy.
We're looking forward to it.
It means 5 days for Emoto, Kyle, and me, but it's easier for you.
For us, we're the Texas Pinball Festival, Midwest Gaming Classic, back-to-back weekends.
That's going to be
our favorite part of this year.
I know it's hard for you guys, all that traveling and all the shows are tough.
Yeah, and Emoto, I'm doing that Louisville show before Texas, so I'll have 3 in the same month versus the 2 for you guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
good luck.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for inviting us on.
Thank you for having us.
Al, I promise you, line it up. We'll do a live, real time how to build a ramp in SolidWorks demo.
Okay, that's super cool. Absolutely, we will. We'll make that happen. That'll be so much fun. Yeah, thank you for both of you for coming on. I'm glad that Mike got added to the stream 10 minutes before we decided to start doing it. So
I'm glad as well. Thank you guys.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Well, you guys. Thank you,
y'all can go ahead and have a great night. You can go ahead and leave the Zoom. We're gonna stick around and do some giveways for all the folks hanging out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Chicago.
Really appreciate your presence.
Thank you for everybody that tuned in.
Bye.
Oh no,
See ya.
we're broken.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look how big
Look
my
at that.
mouth is.
Look at Emoto is now Mike Vinikour and George Gomez.
What?
Wow.
That makes no sense, but I love it.
Yeah, me too. Man, that was great.
Look, and you're B.
And I'm you. Nice.
I wasn't prepared for
Now,
this
pineapple
layer.
pen. I got it, Moto. I got it, Kyle.
What?
Boom.
Steve is singing. Thank you for the compliments.
Well, yeah, pen pineapple.
Thank you.
Apple pen.
We do this for you because if you guys wouldn't watch, we would not do this. So thank you for tuning in and watching all of these.
But talk about amazing content. I mean, just listening to them talk about these games that they're creating is you just learn so much. It's so just inspiring.
Yeah, I'm super inspired to do all sorts of things now. It is
I'm just
fun.
super grateful
I
they
feel very
exist
lucky to
and
be able
create
to
awesome
meet
stuff
people
for
I would
us.
call a hero of sorts, right? Someone you look up to. It is just as humbling and scary as a lot of you people might think it is.
You people.
You people
Oh my
on
gosh,
the internet.
it still is.
You usernames. You internet
It's crazy. I never stop getting nervous talking to George Gomez.
I know. It blows my mind. It blows my stupid little lizard brain when I look at my email inbox and it says George Gomez sent me an email. Just the fact that someone like that knows that I exist just blows my mind. I'm gonna go get a beer because I'm
we were
stressing.
having panic attacks before the stream.
Get that other big one.
So everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm gonna drop in the giveaway code.
Yeah, let's start doing that because I do
for
need to
everyone
go
who's
sleep.
here. I did say earlier in the chat that since we kind of had a little bit of technical difficulties, we really want to see those SolidWorks images happening. So we had to do some stuff to make that work. But if
It's so crazy.
you were here, you signed up, and then you had to leave because we went over by an hour, you'll still win. Assuming you respond to your email within 48 hours, that seems pretty fair, right?
So am I going to MTC or no?
So
Steve's
for those
going
who
to
are
MGC,
here,
right,
go
Emoto?
ahead and sign up if you haven't already. If you did sign up earlier, that's cool. Wait, what did you say?
Steve's going to MGC, right? Just say yes.
Yes.
All right, Steve's going to MGC. Good.
She looks so
If he
scared.
wants to.
If he wants to, of course.
You're not going to MGC, Kyle.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna buy a plane ticket and go. I'm not missing that.
I'm gonna come sit with you
Yeah, because Steve can live in chair.
for these grand giveaways.
Okay, well, make sure you put your time off.
That's my.
What? I gotta ask for time off for MGC?
No, she's
I'm gonna be
telling me.
working.
No, not you.
Okay.
Kyle's going to Texas. So then I was going to have Kyle go to Texas, and then you go to MGC, so we're tag teaming, but Kyle's like, I'm going everywhere.
I just want to go to
So-
MGC. That's like that show and the Houston Arcade
Okay.
Expo.
You don't want to go to Texas then?
No, I
All-
want
all
I'd
the
like to go to
Texas
Texas.
shows?
We'll have this conversation
Are we
later.
doing Houston? 'Cause I want to do Houston.
No.
Houston sounds like fun.
I don't think so. It's my birthday
Let's talk about the live stream and
That was
the
awesome,
giveaways,
man. It's so
and
great to
not
see
our show schedule.
George and Mike and like both of them were so honest and open, and it's just like, wow,
Oh, it's great.
just to get that peek behind the scenes.
It's nice too because George gives the real answer, right?
Right.
And that's what the people want. Not that other people don't give real answers, but when there's a huge thread,
Where
not
is
a huge
Kyle?
thread, but there's a big thread on PinTech talking about people having issues with their rush, and they don't have the ability to ask George, but he'll give me an answer when I say that. And he's honest.
Not
right?
like that, but he's monitoring those channels,
Oh yeah, they always want.
monitoring all the channels, and they're getting back and the feedback, and they're taking that and turning it into great products.
Yep.
Stuff's amazing.
We can swear. Your team viewer went out.
My team viewer
Yeah.
went out. Everything froze on me.
Everything's going crazy. Okay, so let's get these giveaways because that's what
Yeah,
people
so
want.
Texas will be doing the Twippies. We are not doing an official after party after the Twippies at Texas Pinball Festival this year. It was a lot for us.
Giveaways.
But we will be hanging out
giveaways,
and partying with y'all. It
giveaways.
just won't be something super formal.
What are we giving
It
away?
won't have a flyer attached.
A flyer?
We-
That sounds boring.
We're going to give away a flyer. All right, did everyone sign up? I'm setting, once Kyle gives me connection,
I sent it to you.
we're going to start. Oh, thank you.
The Texas show is not that daunting. The Texas show is daunting if you want to try and talk and meet everybody you possibly can, then sure. But if you're just going there to enjoy games and spend a weekend with some friends, you'll easily meet other people to hang out with and enjoy lots of pinball.
Some of those video game nerds smell that though.
Video game nerds always smell bad.
Hey, I take offense to that. That is not true.
No, I mean, I smell
Yeah.
bad, and I'm a pinball
No.
person, not a video game person, so... Did you not get on? Do you need me to give you... Oh, there you go.
I got on. Y'all are haters.
All right, Emoto is going to...
These sports events where they're batting for like $2 million, though, does get pretty smelly. But I don't blame that on the fact that they're gamers. I blame that on the stress level. Of
And the fact that
trying
they forgot to
win.
pack deodorant because they're just thinking about that next line of Tetris or whatever that championship
Hey man, a
is.
professional's a professional is a professional.
Nolan says he thinks you looks like you smell great.
Oh,
Oh, he does smell great.
Kyle usually smells pretty good. Man.
No, I don't. I actually
Wait.
haven't put deodorant
Okay.
on for a couple days.
What?
Yeah.
Are you out?
Oh, I see. Kyle is just
You
out of
just
frame.
decided
I
not
was
to?
just confused.
Is that a conscious decision? You woke up
on
and
a
were like,
phone.
I'm not
I
putting deodorant on.
Can't
Does
even
that smell?
talk.
The chat is like, what the hell are you doing? You can be eating first.
Hi, I'm Kyle Spiteri.
We're all like, we've been at work for over 12 hours
I
now.
am the world's tallest pinball streamer.
Emoto, hurry up and do the giveaways. I'm trying. Gotta pull up my wheel of names.
I love most pinball, but I do not like whitewater because I am Kyle.
Is that a direct quote?
Yeah, he doesn't like whitewater. He says it's boring.
Kyle,
I think it's fun.
how could you?
Who's it gonna be?
I'm
Oh, it's
frozen.
slowing. Or is it speeding up?
No, it's not. I'm resetting it right now. I
Oh.
don't know what's going on with your internet. Is it spinning on your
It's
end?
spinning. It's spinning
Sure.
on my end. I'm seeing it in your wheel of names.com.
Oh, there we go. It's spun clear. All right, we got 69 responses. Ooh, 70
Sweet.
responses.
Nice.
All right, we're capping it off, y'all. You got your... I think I stalled enough to get y'all in. Mitch from Hawaii smells like coconut. It's great. Oh, right. Let me just do quick.
Somebody say I'm from Hawaii. I smell like Pakalolo.
Oh.
This building's way too cold.
Is it?
It is freezing in here.
It's way too cold.
We have no heat.
We have no heater. It's cold.
It
as
died.
heck. Oh, look at the wheel.
It
of
died,
names.
Pushed it
really?
too hard this time.
Hey, put that. Hey, hold on. I'm moving this over so Steve and I can respond to the chat while you do all the work per usual. All right.
Oh. It looks like he smells great. Thank you, Nolan. I do.
My stream cut out.
Colin Baxter's doing crack.
Nice.
Will Marco be at PinFest this year? I don't think so.
All Kyles
Oh, wait,
smell good,
Pinfest.
according to Kyle Bassa.
Sorry,
Yes,
PinTest.
we'll be at
What a
PinFest.
great name.
That's I was thinking of the New England one. Yes, PinFest. Yes, they'll be at
Not
Allentown.
Pintastic.
I
Although
am
we
from
should
Hawaii.
watch.
Dang, Nolan, you know your stuff.
He's a huge fan.
Hunter says we always smell neutral. Thanks.
Oh, that's good. It's better than smelling bad. Yeah, we will be at Northwest Pinball Arcade Show this year. That's exciting. One of my favorite shows in the country. It's the most smoothly run show in the world.
Dave says I probably smell like an old EM. Probably. How's it going, dude?
You have that kind of like I've been in a bar for
Yeah. A musty cigarette sort of bar.
Look at that
Dude,
part.
I'm not looking for.
But I mean, the inside of an EM smells great, right? You poke your head in there, you're just like,
Yes.
It smells like
Remember
burnt
when the
lacquer.
mod couple made EM cologne?
No, I
Ooh.
wouldn't.
And it came
love
in a
it.
little box, and it came with a
EM
little
by
mini
Gottlieb.
dolly.
a new eau de parfum.
That was exciting times.
Minus 60 in Maine. Yeah, I was talking to my friend.
Wonderful people. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, CNK called me a bearded charmer. I'm the guy that's been trolling you
Waving
all
to
night with the
Anderson.
fake codes.
Dude, I can't believe that. I was talking to Guido yesterday, and he said it's going to be like minus 30 something in Vermont. So that's nuts.
Woo.
I'm like scared as heck, and I'm bringing like all sorts of jackets and long johns to Chicago when it's going to be 8 degrees.
Long johns are key, man. You gotta have that second
Minus-
set of underwear.
Minus 60.
That's not minus 6D?
That's what
6-0?
Nolan says. That's what
Is
Nolan.
that even
No.
a thing?
He's lying.
What is that in Celsius?
Minus-
Like 0?
No.
It starts to
No.
even out pretty
It's
close
not.
when it goes minus, but wind chill.
The wind
yeah, well, still, it don't
chill.
matter. That's crazy. Anyway, sorry, Emoto. We're just talking. So, all right. So, are we spinning this wheel?
All right, so this one is going to be for one of our super fancy, most comfortable, perfect in your glove box while driving to a location hat. Marco hat.
Yeah, it's a nice hat.
You always need a hat when you're on location.
That's right. Let people know you're
It keeps the hair back from falling in your face when you're working on something. Or playing. And the winner is...
Ryan Blair.
Congratulations, Ryan Blair. Winner.
Sorry I said you're drunk earlier. I was just trying to keep everything on
Fantastic
topic. You're asking weird stuff. Sorry.
Which hat is it?
Congratulations,
Is it the trucker
Ryan
hat?
Blair.
Yeah,
you
the trucker
won.
hat with the logo.
Yeah, that one's
Yeah,
good.
it is dope.
That's a good hat.
I love that hat. I'm not wearing one now.
Actually put something in my hair
Just
today.
wearing my
Atari Matt shirt.
Atari Matt shirt.
Too bad we won't see him in Houston this year.
Is he not playing?
No, we're not going.
We're not going?
I mean, we should just go.
I mean, we should just go.
We should just go.
We should just go.
Y'all are killing me.
Sorry. We just want to go do all the fun
Yeah.
stuff, man. Just fun stuff.
I mean,
Wait a minute, shows are work?
Not if you pay a bunch of money for a hotel and fly there.
I've never been to a show just for fun.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Because there's no shows here.
Right? Yeah.
So.
there is. It's Soda City.
Oh, yeah!
Comic-Con.
But he's never been to a show for fun.
Props to Soda City Comic-Con for supporting the pinball community year after year.
Yeah, thanks for letting us force upon this really cool game onto you. CNK. Oh, you know what? Matt sent me a text. He was like, "That's a pretty bitchin' hoodie Kyle's wearing. Check this out."
Dude, that shit's so crunchy.
Lynn's Arcade.
That is
It's
so
so cool.
crunchy. That is the crunchiest hoodie I have seen in ages.
Yeah, they only
Crunchy.
use high quality free gold watch made hoodies.
Mm.
The highest of qualities. Hey, can you move that window so we can see the chat? Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. We're just yelling at Emoto now.
No. The heck? It keeps freezing. All
So
right,
Ryan
we're
Blair.
gonna spin it
Ryan
again.
Blair.
Oh yeah, Ryan's not here apparently.
Yep.
Well, then
Ryan
we got to
Blair
email him.
won. Congrats, Ryan.
Oh, we have his
Yep,
email.
I saw him in the chat.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry, I'm dumb.
Yeah, he's in there. I got the email. Since we're doing this an hour and 15 minutes later than I stated,
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
said that if you win, then I'll send you an email to accept your reward.
Get on the camera, man. I feel like...
Usually you
just
have
win.
to be
Oh,
here.
sorry.
But
I'm not.
I know. Why are you not?
I'm cold. Like I need
It's,
No,
yeah,
stand or
no,
else
it's,
I'm
it's freaking
Alright.
freezing. It's
cold as hell.
Wait, this is for an epic Marco tool belt that works great for not just your tools, but your cell phone, the beef jerky sticks, some candy, and probably a few quarters.
Murin.
Hey, you
Tim
win.
Murren, congratulations.
Yeah, can we talk about really quick?
It really
how
is one of the
awesome
greatest things we saw.
The Bozo Zone.
What is the Bozo
When
Zone?
George said the Bozo Zone.
Oh, Tim Murren is turn. Of course.
Oh, hey, you win.
Congratulations, Stern.
I want to be the Bozo. Can I get that tattooed on my knuckles?
Sure. B-O-Z-O, Z-O-N-E. Yeah, it fits.
Jack Danger and I are gonna get matching tattoos this year sometime, but he's already got knuckle
Yay, Tim.
tattoos, so we can't get Bozo Zone on our knuckles.
Well, I mean, you can still get it, though.
That's not matching though.
Yeah, but you can have other tattoos that don't match with Jack Danger's.
No, but we were gonna get one together, and that would be
Yeah,
a funny one.
It would be. He can get it above what he's got now. It might spell something weird.
It hurts really bad to get tattooed on your knuckles, but I'll probably do it again. It's fine. All right, Turin wins. Good job. How much more are we giving away? Let's give away stuff until Steve and I are done with our beers.
Yeah!
How about we give away
This is the
something-
last one we're giving
Give away a
but
bottle
y'all
of
feel
Novus
free
that's
to
been
chat.
around this studio for 3 years. It's got like that much left in the bottom, and it's like rock hard.
Yeah, but you can have it.
Signed by Kyle Spiteri. I know, Patrick. It's
even
on my
taste it.
list. It's like literally on my thing to get tomorrow.
You need to move this.
Marco Magnetic beer opener, bottle opener. No, just for that.
No!
Going away completely.
We want to read the chat.
Use your phone like everyone else here. All right, so this is the last one. This is the big prize.
Matthews is
This will
in?
be for your very own
Shit.
007 banner, promo banner
That's
by
super
Stern.
cool. I have one of those.
So you can hang it up in your game room or your arcade. It'll look awesome.
Dang.
It's like,
That costs the company.
and let's see who the magical winner will be for the promo banner for 007.
Nolan won? Oh, dang.
Nope.
If Nolan wins, it's not going to count because he's influencing the vote. He stole it. Stop the count right now. Oh.
Hey, Natalie!
Did it?
I know that person.
Natalie, nice. Look, it was right by Nolan's name too.
Really?
I was gonna laugh
It was
so
right
hard
there.
and
It was
be
so
excited for
close.
him.
Stop the
but
count.
now I'm excited for Natalie Nonos. Congratulations,
Congrats,
Natalie.
It was rigged.
Rigged?